Okay, so this movie is based off of a book, and both the movie and the book are French made, so, you know, you could get different languages though, but, just know like they're both originally made in French and whatever, so there's that. And yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about some stuff about this movie, and then one of the things I want to talk about is actually, in the title, so there's that. But so I found this movie. So this movie was made in like 2013, 2014, and it was made like however many years after the book. The book was like 2007, so it's like almost a decade, I guess, between the book and the movie. And the reason why I watched this movie, like I think I watched this movie around the time that it came out, like not too long after it came out. And so I was like around like 13, 14 at the time. And what made me watch this movie is that, like, it's animated, looks kind of interesting, like, it has that kind of gothic vibe to it, and, it makes sense that it's kind of goth vibes because, the, it takes place in Edinburgh, so, it makes sense that it kind of has some gothic elements to it. But yeah, that's what made me want to watch it was because the animation looks kind of like, it's interesting, it's cool, it's kind of cute, whatever. And then it's also kind of gives a goth vibe. So I was like, I'm gonna watch this. And then I watched it not that long ago, like recently. So I was like, like I wanted to rewatch it, but then I was like, maybe I should make a video about this movie because like some of this shit's kind of like what? Kind of like weird. But also, it's like I wanted to make a video about it because like I don't see that many people talking about it. I don't see anyone like really posting about it. It really seems like not that many people know about this movie, and it's kind of sad because like, it looks really nice. The music is amazing. The story isn't like so fucking horrible. Like it's not a bad movie. Like I would say like the music and the animation are like fucking great and everything. But I'm gonna get into all that stuff a little bit more in this video. I just wanted to talk about the animation first because you're gonna be seeing the animation throughout this video and it's a little like, like the animation is great, but the only thing that I can really be like, I don't really like so much is like, you know, how the characters have like the heads are a little bit too big for their body and so it looks a little wonky. And then the eyes are kind of weird too, like something about the eyes are weird. Um, Also the teeth. The teeth are too like human-ish and like I mean they are humans, but like the teeth makes it look too real. So it's like I don't like it. Like if you're gonna make an animated thing, you shouldn't go with like the individual teeth thing because that's just no, don't. I think the characters having oversized heads, like sure it's a stylistic choice, but like that more works with like Disney and stuff, where the characters are more like cartoony looking. But with this movie here that we're talking about, and like this movie is like it looks like it's trying to like go more realistic looking, and so the giant heads don't really work as much because it's supposed to look more realistic and not so cartoony. It like the giant heads just doesn't really work there. So that's the only thing really is like the oversized heads and the teeth. Other than that, the animation is fucking great. Um, Obviously, since the movie is made in French and, the characters are supposed to be speaking French, and then you watch it in a different language, the lip syncing is going to be a little off. But you can ignore that part because, if you watch it in a different language, obviously it's going to not be lip synced right. So, there's that part too, where it's like, just ignore the lip syncing if you're watching it in a different language, because that's gonna happen anyways, no matter what. So, if you're watching in French though, then you can kind of like, look at to see if like it's actually lip synced to the right words and stuff and everything like that. But if you watch it in like English when it was originally French, then it's gonna be off, of course. So you can't really criticize that because movies can only do so much when it comes to the lip syncing in whatever language and stuff. Like usually they're just gonna do it for the one language, which is the original language, and then they're gonna like be like whatever when it's made for like when someone does it in a different language, then it's kind of just like whatever. So you know there's that too. But yeah, I just want to talk about the animation for a little bit there, and then we are going to move on to the story next. Like, isn't that just so cool and so nice? Like, I love it. The intro thing is really cool. It's like such a good intro for this movie. Like, it's just like they kind of go down to the thing, and then like the bird shows up and it's flying through all the area, and it's like, bro, like can you get any better than that with that shit? Like, I fucking love it. And then you see this woman walking, and she's clearly pregnant, and it's kind of just like, where's she going? Why is she walking around when she's pregnant? And like, in the snow too, like, it's super cold. And this is actually does say that's like the coldest day, um, and whatever. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, hey, it's the coldest day, and like, this kid is born on like the coldest day of this year or whatever, or some shit like that. I guess it's some whatever coldest day out of like however long, and this kid's born here, and then his heart is like frozen, I guess, because I don't know, weird movie universe logic, I guess. And yeah, so like she goes up to this house where this doctor lives, and she like falls over on the ground in front of the house, and like she can't go on any longer, and then the doctor brings her in and does all whatever, makes sure she's okay and shit, and then like the lady has her baby, and then um like the baby just looks weird. Just look at him, like he just no. And then like when the doctor's gonna like fix his heart or whatever, so he doesn't have a frozen heart anymore, she like puts him in the whatever it's called, and he's just sitting there, and he looks all weird, and it's just like, why? What? Why? Just why? Just why? Just no. Stop. That's like, children should not look like that. I hate it. But yeah, he's just whatever. She builds him a new heart and makes it a clock and whatever, and that's like the whole thing with the movie. And then it's like late, and so they go to sleep. But then the mom, who gave birth to this child, was like, "Oh, I can't be a mother. I'm not fit to be a mother. So I'm just gonna leave you here with this doctor." And it's like, okay, and she just leaves. So, that's kind of just a start there with that whole little thing. It's a little like, okay, I guess. And like, we don't even know the mom's name. Like, we never know her name. She's just there for like the first however long, and she just leaves and disappears, and then, yeah, she's gone. So then this doctor has to be like his adoptive mother, I guess. And I mean, she later does say that she always did want to be a mom, but like she couldn't have kids, I guess. And then I guess you're lucky that she wanted kids, because it would be kind of messed up if she didn't want kids and then you just left this baby with her. But okay, I guess. And then there is a little bit of time skip where he's a little bit older and he's, not a baby anymore. And it's a little slow when he's young and whatever, but we do see he like meets this girl and he's like, "Oh, I love her," even though I did not mention the one part, but the doctor lady that, is now his mom, his adoptive mom, did say some things about how he should take care of his heart, and I will play that for you now, just to, give you an idea. And she does actually like re-say everything anyways, so I guess me skipping over that part doesn't really matter too much because she does say it again later.
No,
So
there are 3 rules that whatever happens you must not forget.
Never touch the hands of my heart. Yes, I know.
Yes, but what else? Keep your temper under control. And rule number 3 is when you don't know, and by far the most important, whatever else you do, you must never, ever fall in love. That's why I'm so scared about taking you into town.
We done?
It'd be the death of you, Jack. You won't be able to withstand the emotional and physical shock provoked by love.
So yeah, there are a few rules that she has for him where it's like, don't play with it, don't get like angry, and don't fall in love. And so, 3 rules, pretty simple, right? But the rules aren't actually that simple because, obviously there wouldn't be a movie if, there wasn't some sort of conflict happening. But yeah, so they go out into town and whatever, and he hears this little sound and he's like, "Oh, what is that? I wanna, go see it, go towards it." And she's like, "Oh, it's just like an instrument playing and whatever." And then he like goes to go see what's happening, and then he sees this girl who's about his age, and they start singing. And during this song, it's there is a lyric in this song that's like, this this is a kids movie, and then he says this, and I just listen to it, cause like what the fuck? Why did they add this into a PG movie? Like I feel like this movie should be at least like 13 plus or some shit because of this part. There's also another part later in the movie that I'll talk about that's also kind of similar, where it's like this movie should probably be at least 13 plus. But
I
this
sing,
part,
I
just
share
listen to this part of
caresses.
the
It
song.
feels good to close my eyes.
Oh, my pretty arsonist, let me clasp you close to me, rip your clothes with my teeth and tear them into confetti.
So not only does he say some weird shit, but also this child sounds like an adult. Like, I played that clip for you, and like, why is his voice so deep when he's like 10 years old? Like, the voice acting is great. Like, even like usually when something goes from one language to another language, like a lot of animes have it where it's like you go from Japanese to English and then the English version is just complete fucking garbage. But for this movie, going from French to English, it's fine. It works. Like they got good voice actors for that. But like why like Jack's voice actor works for older Jack, but not 10-year-old Jack. Like it doesn't fucking work. So I don't know why they, you know, did that, but okay, I guess. But yeah, let's just move on from that. But also, before we really move on, there's this other part that's a little like, what the fuck? Like, if you're seeing this screenshot here that I have up on the screen, then you're kind of just like, what? Because, like, it's a little bit of a blink and you miss it moment where she, like, grows frosting on her chest, and it's like, what the fuck? And like, I'll have the clip playing in the background of the video as I'm talking later too, a little bit later as I'm talking more about what's happening in the movie. But like, it's a blink and you'll miss it. So I wanted to call this part out specifically because it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I guess it's supposed to be just like 10-year-old Jack being a fucking child and like, children's hormones are all over the place, but still kind of just like, this is PG. Why? But like, yeah, I just, it's a tiny little part that's like blink and you miss it, and but still kind of weird. But yeah, this was just a little part, I guess. But there's, another part. Like, this is just like, again, blink and you miss it. But there's also another part later that's a voice thing where they're talking about whatever stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to point this out because, again, it's like you blink and you miss it. Like, whatever. But yeah, anyways, so, these two are talking. They almost kiss, and then they start talking, and he's like losing whatever shit with his clock heart, and like his clock heart's going all over the place, all whack and shit. And then he like, falls over because it's like smoking and stuff, and it's getting worked up. And then his mom comes up and she's like, "Oh my god, what have you done?" And then she kind of like freaks out a little bit and runs away, and she's all scared and whatever. And then she takes him home and she fixes him up, so then he's not, you know, his heart's not all fucked up and whatever. And then he tells these other characters that we meet about like how he's like in love and whatever. And he notices that Anna, one of the girls, is wearing a school uniform, which is the same school uniform that this girl he fell in love with. Like, they're wearing the same uniform. Anna was just wearing it because she's like, "Oh, it's my old school uniform. Like, I used to wear it back when I was in school and whatever." And he's like, "Oh, in school." And so then he gets this idea that he should go to school, but then his mom's like, "Bitch, what? Like, you don't want to go there. Just listen to what she has to say because, like, she's right. You, she's correct in this whole thing that she says."
To go to school, don't I?
Going to school, going to school. It'll drive you up the wall.
No, I promise.
You'll be bored out of your mind. You'll have to read lots of books you despise, when here you get to choose which ones to read, not to mention sitting for hours on end without moving. Naturally, you won't be allowed to talk or make any noise, and no daydreaming except at lunch, perhaps. I know you too well. You'll hate every minute, and everybody will make fun of your clock. You'll be treated like some kind of freak.
So she lets him go to school, and then, he goes there and he's like asking the other kids around, like, if they know who this girl is that he saw. And he's like, "Oh, she's tiny and whatever, and like she sings and stuff and whatever." And then, all these kids are kind of just, playing out their playground, whatever shit. But then this fucking freak on the sidelines sees him asking about her, and then he's like, "Bitch, what the fuck? Like, you know, that's my girl. You're not supposed to be talking about her and stuff." Because I guess he like owns the place and owns everyone on the schoolyard. I guess I don't fucking know, but like, why does he look so much older than all the other kids? Like that that doesn't really make any sense. Like, all of these kids look like they're like around like 10 years old or some shit, but then this bitch looks like he's like not 10 years old. So it's kind of like, but also Jack and him were born on the same day. Like, it's both their birthdays. So I don't know. It's like, were they born on the same day of the same year, or were they like, is he supposed to be like however many years older, but still born on the same day? Because, obviously people can have the same birthday but different years, right? So it's like, is he just a few years older but happens to have the same birthday as Jack? I don't, like, I just, I don't fucking know. Like, maybe he's a little bit older. Like, he looks like he should be older than the other kids, but it's just like, why does he look so much older? It's kind of weird, but yeah. And then there's like a whole montage of like them growing up and stuff and all that shit happening, and yeah. So then, after years of bullying and fighting, then they get into one fight in particular that, they're fighting over this one letter that is from the girl that they both like. It's like, oh, happy birthday letter thing, and since their birthdays on the same day, they're like fighting over who it's for and which person it's from, or like for. I mean, not from. They know who it's from, but they're fighting over who it's for. Um, and I'm actually not. I'm like kind of surprised that this thing didn't happen before, where his heart, clock heart, went off in his face. Like, I'm surprised that didn't happen before, because like they've been fighting, and he's been bullying him for like how many years now? It's like, how did it not go off in his face before? It's kind of weird. Like, you'd think it would have gone off like years ago in his face, but no, it happens now, and then it like stabs him in the eye, and then um, Jack has to run away and be like, oh, the police are gonna be after me because I injured him, and like, whatever. And then he has to like leave, and so like, he goes home. He says all that to his mom, his and the other people that are there, and then they put him on like a train to leave, and it's just like, you know, I guess that's one way to get away. And like, his mom was saying like, oh, I'll just tell them that you disappeared and like you're dead and whatever, and we'll make a makeshift grave for you. And yeah, you basically be dead here. So it's kind of like, okay, I guess, kind of weird, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the cuckoo clock heart didn't go off sooner, though, because like, like you'd think it would have happened before and not after years of them fighting. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, they were just fighting over this thing, and then shit happens, I guess. So he leaves on some trains and whatever, and he's like, going off to be away from where he was going to possibly get caught by the police. And then, for some reason, on the train, fucking Jack the Ripper is there, and then he's like trying to kill Jack, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, out of all the things to do, you put Jack the Ripper after him on the train? Like, what the fuck? Like, is it like, I mean, first of all, Jack the Ripper kills women usually, and Jack, the main character, is not a woman. So it's like, what the fuck? That's weird for one thing. And then it's like, why Jack the Ripper of all things either? Like, is it just because both their names are Jack? Like, is that why they did it? But like, even then, it's just like, doesn't really make any sense. So it's just like, why the fuck is Jack the Ripper after him? It's really weird. Um, Also, they do some whatever animation stuff. I guess it's like, they're showing off whatever stuff that they could do with the animation, and doing like the whatever where, because like the train was like a, what's it called, instrument, an accordion or whatever. Is that what it is with the weird, like whatever sides? And so they were doing whatever stuff with those like hallways and stuff. So I guess that was kind of cool, I guess, but at the same time, it's still like such a weird thing. Like, I don't understand why they really did that, but it's just like, I don't know, like, why did they put Jack the Ripper in here? It doesn't make any sense. But then after Jack the Ripper, like, I guess leaves, then Jack, the main character, meets this other character who's, I guess, supposed to be like a real life, like he was a real life person who lived in this time and did film stuff, so I guess, that's kind of cool, whatever. And he like helps Jack do whatever things. So yeah, it's just a small little thing here where he just like sees a serial killer, I guess, and then meets this French dude who's a filmmaker. Like, okay, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but I guess whatever. I don't know. I guess they're just doing some random stuff, but yeah. So they're gonna go do stuff together, I guess. So yeah, he helps him get to where he's going, and we see that he still has the the letter for the happy birthday note is like torn in half, but he still like knows where it's like where the postcard thingy was from because I had the picture of the sign there, and they go there on trains and stuff, and then it's like a really cool like little music montage thingy, I guess. Some cool like art animation stuff going on. And then they get there and it's like some circus thing, I guess. So yeah, they get there and then there's all these people that would have been in the circus. I don't think circus is our thing anymore, but like nowadays anyways, but back when this movie takes place, yeah, so they had like a bunch of different people and it was kind of cruel. So we don't do them anymore. So we're not like that anyways. I mean, I guess circuses are still a thing, but not like they were the back then. So yeah, but they go to a circus thing, I guess, she's there because she sent the letter from there, and she did have it where she could like grow thorns out of her, so it makes sense that she's there, I guess. And she sings for the circus, I guess. And then he kind of like goes to this one area, and then like this lady at that ride, it's like the ghost train and whatever, she like asks him if he wants the job, and he's like, oh, think about it, because like he heard someone saying that, the girl that he likes is gonna go perform, and then he runs off to go watch her perform, and then like everyone's there like ready to watch her perform, and like her songs are probably like the best songs. Like all the songs in this movie are great, but like her songs specifically, I really like her songs. But I will talk about the songs later in this video just because it's important. It's kind of like, of course I'm going to talk about the songs, but I just wanted to say that her songs specifically are great. But yeah, we're gonna move on to other stuff too, though. And then, like, she does her song, and then when she's done, everyone's like applauding, and everyone's like, wow, it's great, so good, and like, whatever, of course, everyone's gonna say it's good. But like, everyone's distracted and like clapping and whatever, like, doing whatever. And then he fucking sneaks into her room, or her whatever, like carriage thingy or whatever it is. And it's like, why are you sneaking into her room? What the fuck are you doing? Like, that's kind of creepy. But also, this part is the other part where it's like, this should be like PG-13 or something, because just listen to what she says in this part. It's kind of not really PG, so yeah, it's weird.
I was tying my laces against your door when it fell open and I landed on your couch.
Do you often tie your laces just outside a girl's door when she's getting changed?
No, not very often.
And where do you usually land? Do you stumble in her bed or the shower first?
I'm really sorry.
But then, like, they just talk, and then he's like, oh, you want to go meet at this whatever on the ghost train? And she's like, oh, sure, how about tomorrow? And then he runs off to take up the job for the ghost train thing, ride, whatever. And, you know, he gets to do that. And, like, the one lady that's there that would be, like, his boss is, like, this angry old lady, I guess. And then, like, she's like, oh, you better make it scary for everyone. And he's like, oh, I'll try to make it super scary and whatever. But of course, it's like, no, not really. But yeah, it's like, you know, whatever. The only thing that's really scary, I guess, would be like that fucking the front of the train for like on the track is like this creepy dog looking thing, and I fucking hate it. Like, why does it look like that? It's horrible. It's horrid. Like, who made this? who did this. I don't understand why it looks like that. It looks horrifying. Like the other ones I think looked somewhat okay, I guess, but then that dog specifically just looks fucking horrible and yeah, I hate it. Like that's the one thing that's scary for the ghost train ride. So, yeah, it's kind of a yikes there. And then after that this whole thing is over when they're on the ride, after that's over, then they go like hang out in the whatever ride, just walking around on the tracks instead of in the actual thing. And they're like talking and whatever, and then they go like dance and stuff, and then there's like a little moment that they have together that they had back when they first met, and they're like they basically say the same thing word for word in that part, but I didn't like call that part out, so I was kind of like I guess whatever, but it's like just a little moment that they had together again, like for the second time, and like we also like were, she has to wear glasses because she doesn't see very well, and so like we found that out back then when she was singing when they first met, but then we, obviously we still know that and whatever. But I never really said anything because it was like whatever. But yeah, in this moment, in this scene, she's like, "Oh, we can't be together because my heart is for someone else," and he thinks she is actually talking about someone else, but in reality, she's actually talking about him, and he doesn't know that, and he thinks she's talking about someone else. Or he thinks she's talking about Joe instead of him, and he was kind of just like, "Oh, but he was a piece of shit and whatever," and he tried to say whatever stuff and all that because he thought it was Joe, and so he was like, "Oh, he's not very nice." And then she was like, "Oh, he would never hurt a fly," and he's like, "He was a bully and whatever." But they're talking about two different people, so it's a little whatever. But yeah, it's kind of whatever. And so then he goes back to the filmmaker dude, and he's like, "Oh, she doesn't like me. She likes someone else." And then he's like, "Oh, you have to go like talk to her and whatever and all this stuff and like, whatever." And like, they do whatever shit and then like he goes walking with her out to wherever and they're like talking and like he kind of slowly figures out that she's actually talking about him and not Joe. And he's like, how to explain, like, how'd you meet? How'd you, whatever. And then she, like, explains how they met and everything. And, like, they're in Edinburgh and they're singing the song and whatever, all this stuff. And Jack's like, oh my god, it was me all along. She was talking about me all along, actually. And so it was kind of just like dumb bitch moment on his part kind of thing happening there. And like also with the scene, like when she was talking about him and like how nice it was and like he was so nice and whatever, like she was like floating in the scene when she was talking about him, and it's kind of just like why do they keep floating? Because like even when he was like back watching her like perform and sing and whatever before he went into her little whatever like thing, like he was floating and stuff. It's like, why are these guys floating whenever they're like in love and stuff? It's kind of like an interesting little thing. Like, I mean, I guess it's like when you have that feeling, it's kind of like floating and whatever in a way, but it's still like, I don't know. But then, like, also, he's like about to like tell her that he was, the person that she was talking about, but then like he chickened out and was like, "Oh, you want to go meet later at the um whatever it's called, the little play thing?" And then she's like, "Okay, sure." And um when like then they like split up and then he like goes talk to the filmmaker dude again and he's like, "Oh, it was me and like I don't know how to tell her." And he's like, "Oh, we can like show her with the like play and stuff and use puppets and shit to like help her like realize that it was you all along. And so, yeah, they do that and whatever. And it's kind of like, interesting little puppet show when they do it. So, it's kind of just like, what? But yeah, she does realize that it is him all along, and they were there together, and he like went across the country to go meet her again, and yeah, it's just kind of, that. So like after the play, she like fainted or whatever, I guess, 'cause she's like, "Oh, it was you all along," and she fainted, I guess. And so, she's fallen over, she's passed out, whatever. And Jack takes her back to her whatever it's called, and like puts her on her bed, 'cause that's what you do when someone passes out, I guess. You put them on their bed or a couch or whatever, and like, something cushiony that they can sleep on or whatever. And then he's like trying to kiss her as she's not awake, and it's like, bitch, what the fuck? Why are you trying to kiss her when she's unconscious? That's just fucking weird. And when she wakes up, then they like start talking, and she's kind of like, "Oh, why didn't you tell me it was you all along?" And he was like, "Oh, I was scared that you wouldn't believe me or like me anymore or whatever." And all that shit. And she also like tells him about her like backstory and stuff, and like how she, I guess, got there and why she's alone and stuff, and like her parents aren't there, and like why she left Edinburgh in the first place. And like it was supposed to be like, oh, uh, her parents got into like the country like illegally. They didn't like legit get in. They like faked it or whatever, and like the government or police or whatever found out and like took her away. And then yeah, it's just like, okay, just like what even, like it's just you know a little whatever there, like you just, okay, I guess. But yeah, and they're like hang out and whatever, talk about stuff. And like Jack sings this song as they're sitting on her bed, and like with this song I was like, this bitch is like a fucking himbo. Like it really just, it gives off that vibes with this song when she's like playing with his heart and whatever, and it's just kind of himbo vibes there. And they're like, they were talking and they're like, oh, we should like leave and run away together, and all that. And like, she does one last like performance thing for the other people that are there. And then, yeah, they're like, oh, we're gonna leave. And like, after your last song, we're gonna leave. And then fucking Joe shows up with no eye or one eye and like an eye patch because, he got stabbed in the eye. That happened. Um, And then he's like telling Acacia that like, oh, Jack's like, not who you think he is, and he like stole my eye, and like he can't be in love with you because it'll kill him and whatever. He's like telling her all this stuff that like happened and he can't do, and like it's 3 rules and stuff. And then she like goes to Jack and she's like, what the fuck? Like you didn't tell me that you would die if we were together. Like you didn't tell me your heart would just fail when we were together, and all this shit. And then it's just like, she's mad at him, and like he's trying to tell her like, oh, he's lying, like, he was bullying me for years, and then my heart just went off accidentally and like stabbed him and whatever, and it was an accident, didn't mean to do it. And she's like still mad and whatever, and she's like, oh, you were gonna make me like kill you because he'll die if he's with her and whatever. So it'd basically be like her killing him almost. And so then her and Joe like leave, they get into their carriage thing or whatever it's called and go off and whatever. But then like later she kind of like realizes that she still has this key after like a little bit of going down the road and like Jack was so whatever with his heartbreaking, he literally tries to pull it out of himself and like, he's all messed up and then he's like, oh, I have to go back home and like, have his mom like fix him a new heart and just like restart pretty much. And like, cause he doesn't have the key to like whatever and he's just like, I'll have to go. But then like Joe tells Acacia that Jack's mom is actually dead. Like she died in jail after Jack left. And then she realizes that she still has the key and then she goes over to like try to find Jack and she meets with the film dude and he's like, he went back to home and to go see his mom and she's like, oh, but she's dead. She can't fix him. And then he's like, oh, you have to go catch him, go get him and, go try to save him and whatever. And then when Jack is at home, then he's talking to the other characters that were there, and they're like trying to tell him that she's dead, and like his heart breaks more, and he was like, feeling like shit now, type of thing. And yeah, it's, really like sad shit here. And then he's like goes out to the tree where the grave is and he's like sitting out there, whatever. And then he's just sitting out there, he's sitting next to the graves. And Acacia shows up and she's like, oh, I'm gonna like save you, I have your key, I'm gonna help you. And he's like, no, don't do it. Like, you being here, like, coming after me is enough. I don't need you to wind up my heart now. And so he, like, throws the key over the side of the cliff or hill or whatever, because the house is on a hill thing. And then he's like, oh, now, there's no one else to blame other than me. Now you can kiss me and, it won't be killing me. And, when they kiss, time stops because it's like, his heart stops and everything's frozen in place. And then he like crawls up these snowflakes up into the sky. And I guess it's like him going to heaven or whatever. And yeah, it's just kind of like, sad hours, sad movie type of thing. So yeah. I kind of also wanted to talk about the characters a little bit, but I guess there's not too much I would really get into. I guess it's just, Jack's just main character, main characters are main characters. And then like Joe is just the school bully that you see in a lot of stuff where it's just like they pick up and like this or that person specifically and they like rule the school kind of type of thing and we see that a lot in other movies too, so it's like, not that crazy I guess. And then Acacia is just, oh hey, the girl that is really pretty that they like. And I mean, I guess she's kind of cool with like her music and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I guess she does have the whole whatever with the thorns, and like she, like they pop out every time she's like nervous or scared or whatever. And you kind of see like her backstory of like whatever shit going on. So there's there's still some stuff there. And then the filmmaker dude, like he's just there, I guess, to be kind of funny-ish, like comic relief type of shit. And yeah, he's just there to help Jack, I guess. So it's kind of like not too whatever. And then Jack's adoptive mom, the doctor, the witch doctor lady, and she like helps people with like disabilities and stuff and all that. And she like, gives people like wooden limbs and stuff, which is cool. And like when she sings and stuff, you can tell like she's very like nice and caring, but she's also like kind of like, strict and like, oh, you have to take care of yourself. Like if you don't, you're gonna fuck this up kind of thing. And so, she kind of has some there. So that's cool. You can also see, again, it's like with the songs and stuff too. It's like you can really see kind of like how the characters are in songs too. I also wanted to talk about songs, and like pretty much every single song in this movie is just fucking great. Like I'd probably say that's like one thing where it's like the music is amazing. Like I don't I feel like is there anyone that doesn't like the songs in this movie? Like how can you not like them? Like maybe you don't really like this or that one, but you can at least say like most of them are great, right? Like bro, they're so great. They're so amazing. Like just like even if you don't want to go watch the movie and you just whatever, like you don't really care to go watch the movie, like at least go listen to the songs on like Spotify or YouTube or whatever it's on. Like maybe is it on Spotify? I know they're on YouTube and stuff, but like I could actually I think maybe they are on Spotify too. I think I've seen them on Spotify too, but like you just go listen to the songs and I don't think it really matters that much which song you listen to. Like a lot of them are great and you know pretty much every single one is like cool in its own way and just they do these whatever like the instruments that they use is like really nice with it, especially like the opening song where I showed you that with like the bird flying around and like they use the cuckoo saying with the clock sounds and the bell sounds from the one part. It's just like such a cool thing. I just like how can you say you don't like these songs? But yeah, okay, so they are actually on Spotify. Yes, they are on Spotify. So you can go listen to the songs on Spotify if you want to. You just need to put the name of the movie, and then there'll be like playlists and stuff that'll come up, and then you can listen to the songs. And it's really cool and really great. So, if you just wanted to listen to the songs and not watch the whole movie, then there's that. But yeah, again with the the title of this video, it's kind of just yeah. I don't know how this is PG. Like it should be like PG-13 at the lowest, I think, out of anything. So, I don't know though, but yeah, ratings are different in every place. So, I don't know. Like maybe it didn't really change between stuff or it did change between stuff, I don't know, but even like some of the things that characters say can be slightly different in translation and stuff. So, you know, that happens. But yeah, I'm kind of just like, what? I don't know, but I guess if you were gonna watch this video to see if like your kid should watch it, then like I don't know. I feel like when they're like preteen, like 12 or 13, somewhere around there, then they could watch this because of that whole those few things that happen there, like those few lines that are there. It's kind of just like a little weird, but yeah. I wouldn't say it's a horrible movie though. Like even though there are those few things that are kind of just like it shouldn't be PG because of that, like it's still pretty good movie, right? Like it still has like the gothic elements and stuff, and it's really great and really, really cool depression movie type of thing, sad movie type of thing. So yeah, if you wanted to watch a sad movie, then I guess this is a pretty good one to go with, I guess. So yeah, I think that'll be it for this, though. I just wanted to talk about this movie because it seemed like not that many people talk about it, and not that people know about it either. And I just like, I want more people to know about it and talk about it, and it exists. It should get the recognition that it deserves. So yeah, I guess that's it. So bye.